Okay, are you ready to dive into some of the craziest reality TV lawsuits out there?
I am absolutely ready.
Because let's be honest, we all love the drama, the
Mhm.
personalities, the outrageous moments that make us gasp. But what happens when the cameras stop rolling and legal battles begin?
Well, that's when things get really interesting, right? Because we see this clash between the entertainment we love and the real life consequences.
Yeah, and today we're looking at a bunch of articles about some huge shows
Some of the biggest.
like Love is Blind, Survivor,
Oh, yeah.
even Wife Swap. We're talking allegations of manipulation, exploitation, and a whole lot more.
And these cases aren't just juicy gossip. They really raise some serious questions about labor rights ethics and the responsibility of the networks and the production companies behind these shows.
So much responsibility and power.
So much.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with this case that really kind of throws all of this into the spotlight.
Okay.
The Beast Games case. 5 contestants who are staying anonymous, by the way, are suing Mr. Beast and Amazon for what they're calling chronic mistreatment during filming.
This is such a fascinating case because it involves a huge online personality like Mr. Beast, and it really shines a light on the legal gray area of contestant status.
Yes.
Like, are these folks independent contractors taking a chance for a huge prize, or are they workers who deserve the same protections as anybody else?
Yeah,
This is something that the courts are really struggling with, and honestly, the outcome could change the entire landscape of reality TV as we know it.
totally. I mean, and the claims are wild. We're talking over 1,000 people competing for a single $5 million prize with limited food, limited hygiene. And contestants are alleging that they were pressured into signing contracts that weren't exactly,
Mhm.
the best.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of the power dynamics at play,
Oh,
right? You,
yeah.
you have these massive production companies with tons of money,
Yeah.
and then you have these individuals often chasing a dream, and they might feel like they have no choice but to just sign whatever's put in front of them.
It really makes you wonder what you would do in that situation.
Right.
Like, if you were offered a spot on a show like Love is Blind, knowing what we know now about the potential downsides,
Would you still go for it?
would you?
Yeah.
And speaking of Love is Blind, there are lawsuits there, too, that echo these concerns about the working conditions.
Yeah, there are.
One contestant, Jeremy Hartwell, alleged that they were pushed to their absolute limit with 20-hour workdays, sleep deprivation, and producers encouraging them to drink a lot.
Oh my
A
God.
lot.
Oh.
Excessive drinking.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to create a pressure cooker environment.
Yeah.
It just makes you think, is that really necessary to make good PV?
Right.
What are the ethical lines that producers should not be crossing?
Yeah, that's the debate, isn't it?
It is.
Does the pursuit of entertainment justify putting people through these kinds of experiences?
Yeah.
And what responsibility do the networks and production companies have to ensure the well-being of their contestants?
Such a good question. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about something different, manipulation and deception. One of the articles you sent over was about a show called There's Something About Miriam.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
A group of men were competing for the affections of a woman, Miriam, who was transgender.
This case was a real lightning rod because it raised so many complex questions about consent and the ethics of reality TV.
Yeah.
Some people argued that the premise was inherently deceptive and exploitative.
I mean, the men who sued claimed that they felt tricked and humiliated.
Right.
But then other people said it was all just part of the show.
Yeah.
And the contestants should have known what they were signing up for.
It's a tricky situation, there's no doubt about it.
It is.
Reality TV often plays with our expectations, right? It thrives on the unexpected. But where does creative license cross the line into harmful deception?
Yeah.
How much disclosure is really necessary to ensure that everyone is participating with informed consent?
What does informed consent really mean in the world of reality TV?
That's the question.
Are contestants ever truly aware of what they're getting into, or are they always at the mercy of the producers and editors?
It's a great point.
And it actually leads us to another case that touches on this idea of feeling misled.
Yeah.
Alicia Guastafaro from Wife Swap.
Oh, yeah.
She filed a $100 million lawsuit against Disney and ABC,
Wow.
alleging that producers made her look bad on purpose.
Really?
She claimed that they fed her lines and they manipulated the edit to portray her as a spoiled princess.
Oh, wow.
And she said this portrayal caused her a lot of emotional distress and even affected her schooling.
This case really highlights the power of editing in reality TV, right?
Oh, totally.
Producers can take hours of footage and craft a very specific narrative, shaping how viewers perceive the participants.
So how much control do contestants really have over their own image?
That's a great question.
Are they just pawns in the hands of the production team?
It is the million-dollar question, and it's one that courts are increasingly being asked to consider as these types of lawsuits become more common.
It seems like there's a pattern emerging here, with contestants feeling like they were manipulated or exploited for the sake of good TV. But things take a much more serious turn when we start looking at allegations of personal harm and discrimination.
Absolutely, when the potential consequences move beyond hurt feelings and damaged reputations, the stakes become much higher.
Way higher.
And that's exactly what we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
That's right. And these next cases bring up some really disturbing allegations.
Yeah.
They really force us to confront the question of responsibility, like where does the entertainment value end?
Yeah.
And where does the potential for real harm begin?
Exactly. And the first one we'll look at involves Mariah Hook, the creator and star of Married to Medicine.
Okay.
She's suing Bravo for a number of reasons, but one of the most shocking claims is that producers told her not to wear her hijab while filming.
Wow. This case raises some very important points about inclusion and discrimination.
Mm.
Reality TV, for all its flaws, is often seen as a reflection of society.
Right.
So when a network allegedly tells someone to hide a fundamental part of their identity, it sends a very dangerous message. It's a stark reminder that behind all the glitz and glamour, these are workplaces,
Yeah.
and they need to operate within the bounds of the law. Discrimination is illegal, period, whether it is happening on a reality TV set or in any other work environment.
Absolutely. And it's not just about legality. It's about basic human respect and dignity. No one should be made to feel ashamed of who they are, especially not for the sake of entertainment.
Okay, now for another case that takes us into some very murky territory.
Okay.
Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Caroline Manzo filed a lawsuit against Bravo, alleging she was sexually assaulted by fellow cast member Brandi Glanville.
This case brings up a whole host of difficult questions about consent responsibility and the role of producers in these situations.
Yeah.
Manzo claims that the producers encouraged excessive drinking, which created an environment where this alleged assault could occur.
It's incredibly disturbing, and it makes you wonder what safeguards are in place to protect cast members, especially when alcohol is involved.
Right.
Is there a culture of turning a blind eye to bad behavior because it makes for good TV?
That's a tough question, and it's one that the entire industry needs to grapple with.
For sure.
There's a fine line between capturing authentic moments and exploiting vulnerable situations for the sake of ratings.
Totally.
And when things go too far, the consequences can be devastating.
It makes you think about the price of fame, right?
Yeah.
Are contestants willing to put up with almost anything for a shot at the spotlight?
That brings us to a theme that runs through a lot of these lawsuits: the power dynamics between contestants and producers.
Oh, for sure.
And one case that illustrates this really well involves Angelia Preston from America's Next Top Model.
She's the one who claims she was wrongfully disqualified after winning the entire competition.
Exactly. Apparently, producers found out about her past work as an escort
Wow.
and decided to strip her of the title.
Now, whether or not the producers were justified in their decision is debatable.
Sure.
But what's interesting here is how Preston eventually dropped the lawsuit, saying she realized she wasn't going to win.
It makes you wonder what kind of pressure she was facing. Did she feel like she had no choice but to back down?
It's very possible. And this speaks to a larger issue in reality TV. The restrictive contracts contestants are often required to sign.
Yeah.
These contracts can give producers a lot of control, and challenging them can be incredibly daunting, especially for someone who is relatively unknown and doesn't have a lot of resources.
Right.
So even if a contestant feels they've been wronged, the legal and financial barriers to seeking justice can be overwhelming.
That's right. And it creates a situation where production companies can act with a certain degree of impunity, knowing that most contestants won't have the means or the courage to fight back.
And even when contestants do decide to sue, there's no guarantee of a positive outcome. Remember Stacey Stillman from the very first season of Survivor?
Of course. Her case is infamous in reality TV history.
She sued CBS, alleging producers manipulated her elimination from the show to create more drama.
Oh, wow.
She claimed that producers encouraged other contestants to vote her off even though she was doing well in the game.
Oh, my God.
And while the details of the settlement were never made public, it's clear that she received some sort of compensation from CBS.
Her case really brought to light the question of authenticity in reality TV.
Right.
How much of what we see is real,
Yeah.
and how much is manufactured by producers pulling strings behind the scenes.
It's almost impossible to know for sure. But cases like Stillman's definitely make you wonder if the outcome of these shows is predetermined, at least to some extent.
And that brings us back to you, the viewer. What does it mean for your enjoyment of these shows if you know that manipulation might be at play?
Yeah.
Does it change your perspective on the contestants and their stories?
It's definitely something to consider. We all love a good twist or a dramatic showdown, but how far is too far when it comes to manipulating reality?
Exactly. And that's a question that each viewer has to answer for themselves. But what's undeniable is that these lawsuits have brought a lot of these behind-the-scenes issues to light,
Yeah.
forcing us to confront the ethics of reality TV in a way we haven't before.
So after hearing about all these cases, what are your thoughts? Are these lawsuits a sign that the reality TV industry is starting to be held accountable for its actions? Or are they just isolated incidents that won't lead to any real change?
I mean, it's tough to say, right? Will
Yeah.
these lawsuits really have a lasting impact?
Yeah.
But one thing's for certain, they've definitely sparked a conversation about the darker side of reality TV.
Yeah.
And I think that's a conversation we really need to be having.
We do. Because for too long, we've accepted the entertainment value of these shows without really thinking about the human cost.
The cost.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit here.
Okay.
After diving deep into all of these lawsuits, what are some of the biggest takeaways that you think, our listeners should be walking away with?
Well, I think it's important to remember that the world of reality TV is so carefully constructed.
Right?
What we see on the screen is often the result of, hours of footage being edited and manipulated.
Did you a highlight reel?
We're only seeing what the producers want us to see.
Exactly.
And it's all carefully chosen to get those dramatic reactions from us.
Yeah.
So, while we can enjoy these shows for their entertainment value, we should also be approaching them with a little bit of skepticism.
Yeah.
Don't just take everything at face value.
Right.
Remember that there's so much happening behind the scenes that we don't get to see.
That's right.
And I think it's crucial for all of us as viewers to be aware of the power dynamics.
Oh, absolutely.
These contestants are often put in really vulnerable positions.
Yes.
And they may feel pressure to do things they wouldn't normally do just to stay on the show or to win the competition.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful of that when we're judging their actions and behaviors.
Right.
It's easy for us to sit back and criticize
So easy.
from the comfort of our couches.
Yes.
But we have to remember, these are real people
They are.
with real emotions.
Yeah.
And they're being put in these really extreme situations.
Absolutely. It's almost like a social experiment, but the stakes are so much higher because these people's lives and reputations are on the line.
Yeah. So important to have empathy for these contestants.
That's so important.
Even the ones who maybe make decisions we don't agree with.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about the need for skepticism, the need for empathy.
Yeah.
What else, as viewers, should we be keeping in mind as we're, watching our favorite reality TV shows?
Well, I think it's also worth considering the messages that these shows are sending.
Ooh, yeah.
Are they perpetuating harmful stereotypes? Are they glamorizing toxic behavior?
Yeah.
Are they exploiting vulnerable individuals for the sake of ratings?
Those are some tough questions.
They are.
And I don't think there are any easy answers.
I don't either.
But it's definitely something we should all be thinking about.
Right. And ultimately, I think it comes down to making conscious choices about what we watch and what we support.
Yeah.
If a show is consistently crossing ethical lines or making you feel uncomfortable, you have the power to turn it off.
You do.
Yeah.
You have so much power.
Yeah.
It's so easy to feel like we're just passive consumers of entertainment.
Right.
But we have more power than we realize.
Yeah.
Our viewing habits have a real impact, and we can use our voices to demand better from the industry.
Exactly. And by being more discerning viewers,
Yeah.
we can help shape the future of reality TV in a positive direction.
I love that. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a few final thoughts.
Okay.
We've uncovered a lot of disturbing information about the reality TV industry.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's all doom and gloom.
I agree. I think there's still a lot to appreciate about reality TV.
There is.
It can be entertaining, thought-provoking, and even inspiring at times.
It can be, but it's crucial for us to be aware of the potential downsides
Yeah,
and approach these shows with a critical eye.
for sure.
So don't just be entertained,
Right?
be informed,
Be discerning.
and most importantly, be kind.
Yes, because at the end of the day, these are real people with real lives.
They are.
And we should treat them with the same respect and empathy that we would want for ourselves.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Nah.
And with that, we'll leave you to ponder these questions and continue the conversation. The world of reality TV is constantly evolving, and it's up to all of us to shape its future.